It feels like 1983 all over again in Baltimore. That's the last time the Orioles won the World Series. They may be the best team in Major League Baseball right now, but the small market birds could be in the mix to add another starter with some control to their roster, according to Ken Rosenthal. We're going to talk about that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel, how that might make sense for the Cubs and who the Orioles may be willing to give up. All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, everyone, and let's talk some Cubs baseball. Peace, everybody. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. Great to hear from some of you guys there, and always fun to talk about the Cubs here on the channel. So make sure that you're a subscriber so you know when we're dropping some content. All right, let's get into another rumor mill story. This one dropped by one of the most credible men in baseball, and that's Ken Rosenthal in his rumor roundup post. He was talking about a potential deal between the Cubs and the Baltimore Orioles. Now, let's talk about the Orioles. We know about the Cubs currently hanging last place in the NL Central, at least when I'm making this video. Who knows? Maybe they'll be out by the time we finish it. But the Orioles at 57-33 currently are the best team in the AL East. Now, they were up there last year and got run over by the Texas Rangers in the postseason. Former Cubs bench coach and now manager Brandon Hyde, old Hyder, is over there, and he's got Baltimore right back in contention again at 57-33. And the Orioles very consistent. They were behind the Yankees for a while, and then the Yankees scuffled, and they jumped right back ahead of them. And so besides the Philadelphia Phillies, the Orioles have the best record in baseball, and they're not too far behind Philadelphia. But as we move forward, it's that trade season. They made a deal for Corbin Burnes in the offseason. Turned out to give them an ace going into the regular season, and he's lived up to that. They've had some injuries, but they've got a lot of depth. They've got a ton of position players in the minor leagues. They have the best farm system in baseball ahead of the Cubs, who are second. And Jackson Holliday, the best overall player, according to many of the publications, who's been kind of between AAA and the big leagues, but eventually he'll be in the big leagues, and everyone expects him to be a star. So for Baltimore, here's what Rosenthal put out there. Basically, he was saying that Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kramer, and Cade Pavich are the only three current starters under team control beyond the season. So basically, new ownership. They finally kicked out the Angeloses. They got some people there that are willing to spend some money, but Baltimore's still a small market team, and they're going to have to be creative in the way that they keep some of their players, because they've got so many stars that are young that eventually those guys are going to come up. And if they want to keep that team together for a long time, they're going to end up having to spend some money. So they got to figure out how to win, probably how to win right now, because their window is open and they've got to attack that. So one of the things they're going to have to do is figure out how to get pitching that is under control. And, kind of just breaking it down for you, the Orioles are going to have an opening for maybe 3 starters next year. So what does that mean to the Cubs? Well, Jamison Taillon, $45 million. He's more than halfway through his contract with the Cubs, right? So that means that, he's got I guess not halfway, but he's getting there. 2.5 years remaining on a $45 million contract. Could he be a guy that the Orioles say, hey, you know what? We want to make a deal for this guy. We got the players to do it. Now, if you're the Cubs, the starting pitching angle for you as far as trading goes is probably your biggest strength to give from, right? I just made a list here of the Cubs starters. So you got left-hander Justin Steele. You got Shota Imanaga. Steele with an earned run average under 3. Imanaga just above 3. Jamison Taillon below 3. Javi Assad under 3. Jordan Wicks is on the IL right now, but he's been good when he's been healthy. Kyle Hendricks, I don't think you could trade him. I don't think anybody's going to take him for $16 million. Ben Brown has the neck injury. And then Hayden Wesneski had the best outing of his career, I thought, last time out. I thought he was fantastic in the start against the Angels. And I know the Angels aren't that good. It's not like they got Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, but it's still a big league game, and he did a good job in the start. So, would Baltimore be interested in him? Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to give a whole lot up to get Wesneski compared to what you might have to give up to get Taillon. Plus, it's going to cost you some money. But Taillon's been great this year. I mean, he's been really reliable. He's been the guy that the Cubs thought they were getting when they signed him last year, and he wasn't that good last year. We came back this year. He's dealt with a few injuries, but when he's been out there, he's been good, and he's given the Cubs a lot of optimism as far as his future, and I'm sure other teams feel that way as well when you talk about him. So, what about the Orioles? I mean, are they serious about making a deal? Well, Rosenthal's entire point is that the Orioles wouldn't just have guys that are in the minor leagues, prospects that they would be willing to trade, and that the Cubs may want young guys who have major league experience, because if the Cubs trade right now for prospects, and I think we've talked about this a lot, they have to have guys that are going to fit the group that they have brought up through the system that are either just in the big leagues now. We're talking about Michael Busch, who they traded for, Pete Crow Armstrong. We've seen Alexander Canario. You've seen some of the young pitching. Cade Horton's in AAA when he's back and healthy again. Matt Shaw and, Owen Casey. I mean, all the guys that they have are right on the verge of being major leaguers. And for Baltimore, maybe there's some guys at the major league level that they need to move out to make room for their young players that they don't want to give up, but that are just on the verge of getting there as well. So, some of the names that were mentioned, Ryan Mountcastle, Cedric Mullins is a guy, seen him do some things. Austin Hayes was listed. Anthony Santander. I'm not really familiar with a lot of these guys. I don't watch Baltimore, but I know that the Orioles did it. They did the exact same rebuild that the Houston Astros did. And it's because when they went out and signed, and hired the guy to turn the organization around, they went to the Astros and they got who's their general manager now, Mike Elias, and he's done this, and he's done a great job. So they built a lot like the Astros were when they went and won the World Series. Baltimore hasn't won a World Series since Cal Ripken was, I think, a rookie, 83, right? They had a guy named Eddie Murray there in the Hall of Fame. Jim Palmer was still playing at the time. I mean, think about this. So the Orioles have contended a few times. They've been bad a lot of times, and now they're right there. And so a Jamison Taillon trade for them could help them now, but it could also help them next year, because this franchise should be right there on the verge of winning a World Series. And now for the Cubs, you don't have to take those 4 guys, but you've got to look at what is out there and try to match it with what you have already if you're going to make that move to, trade a starting pitcher like a Jamison Taillon. So I'm guessing that Taillon, you want to get that money off the books if you're the Cubs. You want to be able to kind of start over and reinvest with this team. You need a catcher. You've got to get bullpen help. You need a third baseman because Morel's not cutting it. You're going to have to replace Cody Bellinger, who's probably going to get traded. Do you trade Ian Happ? How do you replace him? And if you're the Cubs, when you internalize here, seriously, when you look at this roster, you can't think that these guys are going to win a World Series. So what do you do to add or subtract to put a team together that has a legitimate chance to win a World Series? You saw it 2015, 16, 17, 18. By the time we got to 19, all of a sudden you're going, you know what? I don't think this team really has a chance anymore, right? And so where we're at right now is after the last 2 years, there's just too many bumps in the road for these guys. So you got to go out there and find talent. You want to find talent that matches the guys that you already have ready to go to the big leagues. And when you traded all those guys that won the World Series away, you went young, right? Hey, we're going to go young. They did that, getting guys like Owen Casey, who's like 18 years old. Well, now all of a sudden he's in AAA and he's on the verge of being in the major leagues. He's put up good numbers. Pete Crow Armstrong's trying to figure it out at the major league level. Alexander Canario. What are you going to do with Matt Shaw, with James Triantos? Is Kevin Alcantara a real option? You believe in him? And other guys as well. So that's where we are right now. We'll see what happens. Just wanted to throw that out there. You guys get in the comments section. Tell me what you think. Like and subscribe to the channel. As always, I appreciate every one of you guys for being here and hanging out, talking Cubs baseball. And we will do it again really soon. Go Cubs.